Hey guys, welcome back. Today it's Friday. It's Friday all day, November the 20th, almost at U.S. Thanksgiving and the holiday season around the corner. I'm Michael Flint.
I hear those sleigh bells jingling.
Jingle here. We got Landon Hood in the house. Yeah. Well, we're here to talk to you on Big Game Hunters on MagnaSearchGroup.tv. And today we're talking about the 13 things that people see instinctively and how they judge you immediately upon meeting them.
It's such a trope, first impressions are so important, right?
But there's a science behind it.
But it's so true. I mean, there's absolutely proof. There's so many different studies that are proof that within sometimes 3 seconds of meeting somebody, you make judgments that are going to stick with you for the rest of your life. And so
psychologists call that thin slicing.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So you get a very thin perspective on who you are and making a judgment immediately.
Yeah, and so you always want to put that best version of yourself out there. I remember Michael Jordan would always say, people would ask why he would, try so hard in all 82 games in the season, and it was because, maybe this is the first time somebody's seen me. This is their only chance to see me. And so I always want to put the best version of myself out there, and that's the same as true in life. I mean, if you're meeting people, if it's a day that you're going for a job interview, it's the day that you're meeting with a potential client or a potential business partner, it's very important to put the best version of yourself out there and have that good first impression, because they will judge you. They will judge you, my friend.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, the first thing is trustworthiness, and it takes up to as little as 1/10 of a second to meet somebody and immediately come to a conclusion that this person is trustworthy. Mm-hmm. That can be how you carry yourself, the shape of your face, eye contact, the handshake that you put forward.
Yeah.
But trustworthiness is the biggest thing, because it kind of sets the stage for everything else. If it's somebody that you trust, and that's different than liking somebody, but if it's somebody that you trust, then you're opening yourself up to, more information on who they are, and you'll be more receptive to what they have to say, what they're presenting, and ultimately maybe how they can enrich your life.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be true to yourself. If you're meeting with somebody and you're nervous and you feel like maybe you're trying to portray something that's not true, and that can happen a lot of times in job interviews, for instance.
For sure, yeah.
That's where people can sort of not trust you, or if you're selling something and you're trying to maybe big up what you're selling more than you feel comfortable doing, then people won't trust you as much. So it's really important to believe in what you do, believe in yourself, believe in what you're selling, and make eye contact. All those things is really important, because trust is so very important. And if somebody doesn't trust you, they're not going to hire you. They're not going to do business with you. They're not going to date you. They're not going to, go in the merry-go-round.
It's not a dating game.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, the next one I guess would be, that we saw is, are you rich? What is are you high status?
Yeah.
And
well, the Brits have that down pat with their class system.
Nobility is adorable, but we don't have that as much here. But it's happening. It's coming, man. It's coming. With more wealth disparity comes more nobility. So
I think so. But there's, perception is everything. I used to run a high-end fishing lodge, and you couldn't tell, who the really rich guys are. And I'm talking like billionaires.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's very hard, especially for guys that have made their money by working hard from the ground up, and it's everything that they've done, blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, and they've made their money through not portraying themselves a certain way,
just who they are,
by just who they
are.
Do.
Yeah.
They do, yeah.
But people will judge you based on the labels that you wear, and there's certain surveys out there that will say, okay, and putting two individuals side by side, if one individual is wearing Prada and the other person's in I guess it's Abercrombie and Fitch. Are they still hot? They're not hot anymore. But if you're two different brands, people will judge who you are, what your worth is, what your status is in life, simply by what you're wearing.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I mean, if somebody were to meet Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook these days within the tech industry, I mean, he's wearing a hoodie and a t-shirt, so you wouldn't really guess the guy was worth billions and billions of dollars, but he is. And so it's, you're seeing in a lot of different industries
that guy from Plenty of Fish too. You would never know.
Yeah,
that
Marcus. I mean, he
hundreds of millions of dollars,
and he just standard footwear. But I mean, so sometimes it's hard to tell, but people have their preconceived notions that can happen. So I mean, if you want to be perceived as high status, which a lot of people do with the Kardashians being so big these days, everybody wants.
I don't even know why we're giving them a plug on this show.
Hey, Chloe. No, but if you want to be perceived as high status, you can wear nice clothes, wear the nice watch, and if you don't, don't. Oftentimes the richest people don't want to be perceived as rich, because it comes with a whole bunch of other hang-ups in it and stuff. So.
Yeah. Another thing, people judge immediately, and not that there's anything wrong with it, but they'll judge immediately whether you're gay or straight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seinfeld 101. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Listen, people are who they are, and at the end of the day, you have to kind of get get over whatever paradigm you have in life. But that's one thing that people will pay attention to, and whether it means something or not, it's up to you to decide.
Yeah, some people have their preconceived notions and their stereotypes that go along with sexuality, which are oftentimes wrong. And so, yeah, I mean, some people think that they have strong gaydar, as it were. But I mean, really, the people, have their feelings or whatnot. But in the bottom line is it doesn't matter, especially in this day and age.
Number 4. What's number 4?
Number 4, number 4 is at your intelligence level. I mean, are you smart? People decide that relatively quickly. And there's a lot of ways you can portray yourself as smart, and there's a lot of ways you can portray yourself as not so smart. And one would be, one surprising study actually said that eye contact, you sort of associate eye contact with confidence and with, a lot of different things. But I think eye contact these days is...
Eye contact and big eyeglasses and using big words.
Yeah, exactly. But, it's been proven that, if you lock in eye contact, and I think that just comes with confidence as well, that will, raise the level of your, perceived intelligence.
Yeah, I think there's something there. I mean, compound sentences. I mean, if you're educated, how you speak, where you come from, different accents. I mean, all those things come into play.
You can say pneumono ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis like myself.
You've been waiting to say that on the show, I'm sure.
Waiting.
Yeah.
I did it.
Another thing people recognize straight away is your dominance level, how aggressive that you are. One thing that could set that off is how short your hair is. There's been lots of studies out there that bald is not only beautiful, it's powerful. I personally do everything that I can to reduce any reducing hairline, and it's not something that I would ever get myself personally into.
I think that's called the Lex Luthor rule. Is the more the less hair you have if you're shaved bald.
He's rich and he's smart.
Exactly.
He's just crazy
and very dominant. I would say as well. And it's not to say that somebody like Fabio isn't dominant as well, but for whatever reason, if people associate with that, and I think it's just a lot of that could come from pop culture. A lot of that can just come from just the sort of aerodynamics of it. You'd be surprised in so many of these. Even intelligence, dominance, a lot of it is the shape of the face, as you mentioned.
Yep.
I mean, and people
shape
just
of the face, how close your eyes are to one another, the distance between your nose and your cheek brows. I mean, there's something to it.
And and you wonder how much of that is, based on the shape of your face, are you that way, or is it just people's preconceived notions of it? And I think it's more the second. Yeah. But I guess we'll see. I guess next one would be
success.
Are you successful?
I like that one because you have a little bit more control over that. A big thing, and I hope I'm representing it today, but making sure your clothes fit. You can really present a very successful appearance because you're tidy, you're well kept, your manicuring's there. So good personal manicuring and making sure your clothes fit. That's better than having clothes that maybe don't fit and they're some high expensive high street label label.
If people are going to take the time into presenting themselves and doing it in a way that's well done, then they're going to do that. That's going to expand into the rest of their lives. And if somebody's going to, buy the nice clothes, make sure that it fits, not just throw it on and roll out of bed, that can, people sort of imagine that, okay, well, if this guy's going to do this, then I imagine he's probably put together in other aspects of his life as well. Yeah,
and that's true. I was actually involved with a company called Ecumen in 2008, which was on the heels of the recession. And we were called Spanx for Men. It was basically compression gear with an element of ergonomics on it to help people with their posture. We were selling like hotcakes at a time where people were losing their jobs, and it had to do with presentation. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that people judge almost immediately is, will this person be promoted? Now, it's hard to rationalize that from a first impression perspective, but if you think about it, guys that are well put together, they're presented, their clothes fit, they're in a crisp shirt, everything's ironed, that one is probably on a faster career path than somebody that maybe had too many beers the night before and was wearing the same suit and dress shirt and tie as the night before as well.
Well, what do they say? They say dress for the job that you want, not the job that you have. It's so true, right? If you dress for success, then you're going to be successful. Not necessarily true, but very often true.
Well, it depends. It depends on whether I have a TV day or I'm allowed to ride my bike to work, but yes.
Yeah, exactly. Next one, I guess, would be if you're adventurous, I think. You can, and adventurous can be determined in a lot of different ways. Basically, if this person is willing to put themselves out there, if this person is a traveler, if this person is going out and see the world, and sometimes it's as simple as just the way you walk. And there was a study done that showed people took a look at people walking down the street, and very quickly they come to a very quick judgment of whether that person is a very adventurous, adventurous spirit, somebody who's going to go out there and enjoy the fruits of life, versus, a tight, rigid walk, which makes sense because the person is clearly just trying to get through stuff, versus an open, wide-legged.
Yeah, I think there's an energy element to that too, though. Like when someone's adventurous, they have that kind of like, I don't know.
People
have
pick up on that too. You can pick up on that.
Yeah, the guy's got good energy. I think he might be a lot of fun, whether it's to grab a beer or to work on a project with, or basically have a casual conversation. I think you pick up on people like that fairly easy. And our insights are, we've discussed in the past. There's an entrepreneurial edge to people that are adventurous because by nature they have to have that.
Yeah.
They have to have that. I don't know. Let's do it. Like
they're willing to stick their finger in some sockets and see what happens. Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure about that, but yeah, okay, something like that.
Don't you knock my socket business.
Listen, aggression is part of it as well. People will judge immediately how aggressive you are. It could come from having too much coffee in the morning, and the flip side of it is being passive at the same time. So there's a meter to that, right? On one hand, you could be a little bit mousy, reserved, and introvert. On the other hand, you're totally extroverted. You have a strong opinion, and you want to make sure that you're heard. There's a range there, but people will kind of have an immediate assumption on where you fit within that bandwidth. Yeah,
I mean, with aggression, it can oftentimes is very much tied to facial expression. It can very much be
smile?
A smile versus a scowl, and again, that can go back to face shape. One of the studies that we read very much was tied to how square your jaw is, how wide your face is to your height.
Yep.
If somebody's shorter, wider face, like a daddy.
This is why plastic surgery is for actually
a godsend, is what you're going to say.
Well, I guess in many ways, but listen, I think if you look at the stats in California, you have many more men going after cosmetic surgery. Yeah, because
what do they call it? A resting B-word face is, some people just have a naturally sad face, and if you perk it up with a little bit with some Botox, maybe that's what they say. Now, of course, we don't here at MagnaSearchGroup.tv, we do not endorse plastic surgery unless for special situations.
I'm 62.
He's 60. He does obviously, but it's your facial expressions, aggression. Yeah. It's very easy. That's another one that's kind of tied to energy as well in terms of aggressiveness. Like, whoa, this guy's a little bit aggressive.
I agree. Now listen, I know this one's on our list because we read the report, and one of the things people will judge on you immediately is whether or not you're religious. There's a lot of things going on in the world today, like right now, and I don't even want to put any fuel to that because at the end of the day, I think that people are equal, and whether or not they judge you on your religion, I just don't. It doesn't matter to me, and I don't even want to talk about it.
It's tough these days. There's so much bad publicity for religion, and people kind of forget that generally speaking, religion is built around positive things, and that's sort of what you can see you can sort of tell if generally speaking a religious person will have more of a calm to them, more of a serenity to them. Now, of course, there are large exceptions to that rule.
Yeah, but in the context of this show, we're talking about things people can pick up on immediately.
Exactly,
right?
And that's something you can pick up on is maybe they have a little bit more.
Yeah, there's an Orthodox Jewish outfit.
It's faith, right? Because bottom line is religion is basically having faith in something bigger than yourself. And so if you're caught a little bit worried about, and you're sort of stuck in the whole of things, you're stuck in the day-to-day tasks, and you're worried about my life, maybe it's not the best. Versus a religious person, maybe a little less worried about that, and a little bit more faith in everything, and a little bit more of a macro perspective, that can happen. Now,
Yeah, but again, you're explaining them. We're talking about what people can judge. What people can judge.
And that's calmness.
First impressions.
Smiling.
It's many things. Yeah, it's the 8 rosaries around your neck. If it's my mom, she's got 10 kids, so she can. But but it's everything. You can tell people that are religious, by what they're wearing, how they carry themselves.
Absolutely.
A lot of times you can by the manner in they speak.
And you can either tell or you can think that you can tell. Right?
Very true. Very true. Next one, I guess we're talking about being an extrovert and introvert. I think both of us are demonstrating traits of being extrovertish.
Is that a word? Extrovertish?
Not sure.
But that's a really easy one, right? But just the fact that you're meeting them can be a clue that they're an extrovert, right? And the fact that they're smiling, the fact that they're enjoying life. Sometimes, an extrovert will just be more comfortable in their skin around people. And so you can really pick up on that. You can pick how comfortable they are with you, and the fact that you're meeting a new person and they're not sort of averting eye contact, they're not averting their gaze. It's a pretty easy one to pick up on, so it stands to reason that you'd be able to determine that really quickly. But that's not to say sometimes people have their highs and lows, and generally you can categorize people as an extrovert and introvert, but many times an introvert will have a certain day that they're feeling a little bit better. Maybe have a couple liquid.
You're a Gemini, aren't you?
I absolutely am.
So am I.
I don't know how you know that, but
There's 4 of us here, yeah.
but yeah, I know. So I mean, you can pick up on a lot of things, and a couple beers can sometimes switch people.
That's true. Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, absolutely, liquid courage.
Yeah.
Being a competent leader is a big thing that people pick up on right away. Again, it comes with how you carry yourself, the confidence in which you say hello, a lot of those intuitive body signs or telltale signs are something that you pick up on with strong leaders.
Yeah, I think a leader is kind of a combination of a few of the ones that we went over. It's a combination of a little bit of dominance, a little bit of aggressiveness, a little bit of extrovertedness, trustworthiness.
Like in this trace, how much power they exude.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, leader, and oftentimes it is a lot about dominance and even facial maturity. Again, it comes back to if somebody has a baby face, sometimes it can be hard to take them seriously as a leader. There's definitely exceptions. Again, Mark Zuckerberg, little baby face, but he's absolutely a leader.
Well, I don't think that guy's seen any sun for most of his life.
Hey,
I
don't know.
That's
a potential client you're talking about here, man.
Sure.
But
sure.
No. But
I love you, Mark.
Oftentimes people sort of pick up on that relatively quickly, and that's really important. For instance, if you are a new manager, a new leader who's starting to set up interviews, starting to set up meetings with potential business partners, there's a lot of self-improvement tools you can reach out to, a lot of ones you can check out that will really help you in terms of exuding leadership qualities, because people have those inherent abilities to lead, but sometimes they can't really exude that, and that's something you can definitely learn. There's this idea that people are either leaders or they're not, and of course there are true things to that, but I think you can definitely sort of change the software in your brain a little bit to exude those qualities and to become a leader. I do believe that. But,
yeah, I agree with that as well.
Yeah.
And the last thing that we did in our profiling is people can pick up pretty quickly on how conscientious you are. Are you a hard worker? Do you take pride in the things that you do? I guess what goes hand in hand in that is motives and who you are as an individual. Mm-hmm. That seems to be something that people can key into very, very easily.
Definitely. Yeah, and I think you can tell by sometimes simply the pins that they're wearing. But if somebody is a little bit self-obsessed sounding, if it's me when you're meeting them, and you can pick on that pretty quickly, it's like, okay, maybe they don't really care that much about what's going on in the macros perspective.
Well, they might not have that viewpoint. Listen, to each their own, right?
Absolutely. But yeah, I think we went over some good points here today. Thanks so much for your time. We're going to catch you on Monday. It might not be me, might not be Michael. Maybe it will be. You never know here at MagnaSearchGroup.tv's Big Game Hunters. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks, guys.